Welcome to Life Her Podcast, the podcast that guides you from the 9-to-5 grind to the freedom of your own path. Discover how to conquer life's challenges while pursuing your passions with unwavering faith. Because being an entrepreneur is not easy. So let's get to it.
Hey everyone, I'm Yvette Lloyd, host of Life Her Podcast. I am joined by incredible Marta Greca and a Pittsburgh mother of 7, business owner and author. Marta is, and she has a captivated woman with her ability to balance in motherhood and entrepreneurship. And we all know we need to know the gems to that, because we know a lot of mothers that's jumping into entrepreneurship or in it and they're still trying to find their path and their way. But in her new book, Power Synergy, it's the stories of the motherhood and entrepreneurship strengthen each other. And she gives the real about the struggles of mothers that they face and while they're pursuing success. And I hope you guys really take heed into this amazing book. And today we have her right here on Life Her Podcast, sharing her journey and different lessons that she learned throughout the times of her finding her strength and her purpose and within her business and motherhood. Hey, Marta, how are you?
Hi, good. Let's do this.
Yes, ma'am. So tell me, you're a mother, of course,
Mhm.
and you're a mother of 7, and you are a successful business owner. Can you share the journey of balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship?
I think that there's no such thing as a true balance. And I think that I like to kid with people because I think there's this assumption that because I have 7 kids, I know what I'm doing. I make mistakes every day, both in the business and the motherhood. But I think those failures are what you need for success, right? And it's not about having it all figured out or having arrived. It's what is your reaction to life when it gets thrown at you, and what is your reaction to others when life gets thrown at them? And I think finding that inner peace is more the key than finding the balance and having your finger on the pulse of everything.
Wow. So throughout the times of you going into entrepreneurship, did you find yourself giving up quite often or feeling overwhelmed? Because, a lot of tears come with entrepreneurship too, and having that mindset. So, what are some of the ways where it strengthened you? And could you share some of your personal stories that have you basically getting through it?
Yeah, I had a marketing agency that reached peak success while my husband was building a multi-million-dollar land development company. And in the past few years, we've just gotten our butts kicked when it comes to all of that. I lost my mom, who was my best friend, and so I kind of lost my mojo. He ended up in a partnership that resulted in a lawsuit. And so it really, and then simultaneously we had our 6th and 7th baby. So it's been a crazy time. And my marketing agency, if you look at it, failed. And there's a lot of imposter syndrome from that, because when I was at the peak, I taught a lot of women in how to get there. But I'm okay with the failure, because that failure and those mistakes are what make me, I think, able to hold a non-judgmental and loving space for my clients in my new field and my new focus. So I think it's okay to fail. And honestly, whenever my last full-time client, high paying on retainer, said she wasn't going to renew her contract, she'd been with us for 3 years. We still love each other. It wasn't about that. I honestly felt elated. I felt excited rather than feeling scared. And I think it had been on my heart for quite some time to let go of the marketing agency, but I just kept clinging on and hanging on because that's what supported my family. And what did that mean about me if I let it fail? And had I duped all my clients if I let it fail? And truly, that's just what was meant to happen. There's no other explanation for it.
Wow. So I do have a lot of mothers that do listen to Life Her podcast, and they are entrepreneurs. and they do have families, they have husbands and longtime boyfriends. How are you able to balance all of that, giving your significant other time, giving your children time, and giving your business time?
Yeah, I think it's definitely marriage and entrepreneurship, especially when you're both entrepreneurship, is hard. It's a struggle because the businesses can really take center stage, and you could get caught up in prioritizing that over your marriage. So we've definitely been through that. But in terms of making time, I do find moments where, oh, I seem to be giving this child more attention because they've been diagnosed with autism, and something happens to make me pay attention, right? Be with this child or this child. So in terms of making time, it's really time blocking. I only am available for calls and appointments when the babies are napping, for most days, and then there are 2 days a week that I do have help with the kids, today being one of them that we're recording the show. And if it doesn't fit within those time frames, it doesn't happen, and I need to just trust that it wasn't meant to, or that if the other person truly wants to work with me, they will make it work on their end. And if they can't, they can't, and it wasn't meant to be. But when it comes to having 7 children, I do drop the ball on that. And so I'll do things like, for example, the baby's obviously constantly getting attention because he needs me to eat and he needs me to do everything. And he's 8 months, and the toddler gets a lot of attention because he's very loud. And if you're not paying attention, he could get really hurt. And the oldest, needs attention because he's applying for college, and he's, working, and wants to do lacrosse. And then my 15-year-old gets a lot of attention because she has autism. And so there's all the IEP meetings. So I was finding that those 3 middle, they were literally like that cliche was happening of the middle children. So with the 8 and the 10-year-old, we do a nighttime journal. It's just a page a night. Even if I'm exhausted, I know it's going to take 1 to 2 minutes. They really look forward to it. My son is 8. He doesn't love writing. So sometimes I say, you don't have to write. Let's just answer the questions together and get to know each other more. And then my 13-year-old, yesterday I had stuff hitting the fan with a client who really needed my attention, and I needed to just say, I'm not available right now. I put my phone down. He really wanted me to watch Interstellar with him. It's a 3-hour movie. I'm not into space movies, but that was important to him. I needed to put the phone down. I needed somebody else to take care of the toddler. I needed to put the baby to bed and just watch this movie with him. That's how a 13-year-old wanted to connect. And so it really is about discernment and being okay with missing out. Because really it's not missing out. The most important opportunity that I have is to connect with the people within my home. If I'm not connecting with the people within my home, that's a fraud. I think it's not, having failed in business being a fraud. I think it's a fraud if outside of the walls of your home, people look at you in a certain way, but inside of the home, people look at you a different way.
Wow, that is amazing. I admire you for that.
Thank you.
Because a lot of people don't have that mindset. And it takes an amazing woman like yourself to actually realize that. And it shows that you're like tuned in and like just everything. You are everything.
Thank you. I'm sure I know you are too. So thank you. I appreciate that coming from you. And I think from the marriage standpoint, it's really easy for us to, as women, to look at the spouse and say, he's not doing this, he's not doing this, he's not doing this, he's not doing this. But then that might be the case. That might be very true. But then always be receptive and looking inward of, am I doing my part in this? Did I forget? Did I remember our anniversary? Did I, do something special? Did I tell him, thank you for this or thank you for that? Did I reach for a hug? Did I tell him he looks good or he smells good? Or, probably not. And that's probably why he's not doing the same for me. And obviously not that you're taking responsibility for somebody else's actions, but in order for that to work, we do have to be open at looking within and if you are doing everything and doing your part, then that's another thing. If you were, doing everything that you can, but yeah, entrepreneurship and marriage is definitely hard.
Yes. So what inspired you to write Powerful Synergy and bring together these incredible stories from fellow mothers in business?
It's a funny story. The publisher had a meeting with another fellow colleague who is intuitive, and actually, her focus is that she is a coach to aspiring psychic business coaches. And she said, "I think you and Marta need to do a project together." And so Corey, which is the owner of Aurora Coriolis Publishing, said, "Do you want to do this?" And I was humbled and honored that somebody would pay me to write and to also pull together a beautiful group of women to write their stories. And it has been beautiful. But the story that I was going to write in this book was about losing my mother and ultimately the business, and how that propelled me into the world of, ironically, finance. But then a month before I was supposed to write the chapter, I had my baby early. He was 4 weeks early. I was just sitting. I thought that I had blocked off the last month of my pregnancy, that I was going to work on this book, but my placenta abrupted, which means it detaches from your body before you give birth. It's an extremely painful thing. And I ended up in the hospital, obviously. He ended up in the NICU. They had to pull him out, pull him out, because he was not getting what he needed. He was not okay. His heart rate kept dropping. And so I ended up writing about that.
Oh, wow. Well, I would like to say sorry again for losing your mom. I could imagine on how you feel, because I lost mine too 5 years ago. And I know, like, running a business, and you said that she was your best friend. The running a business, having kids and everything, I know you feel that void of emptiness sometimes.
Yeah,
And where
for sure.
you just want to pick up the phone and call her. And I want to know, how do you utilize and, like, get through entrepreneurship, being a mother and everything, and still missing your mom at the same time, and still keep pressing forward? Because some people, they will shut down, when they have, like, something that they lost that's so dear to them. So how are you still going, and what keeps you going constantly?
Yeah, I will admit, because of the loss, I did lose my mojo for my marketing agency, because losing your best friend to cancer, you go, nothing else matters. All this SEO stuff and algorithm and insights, who gives a you know what? And but what actually ended up happening was, when she passed away, was so horrible that I had to do something about it. I had just literally had my sixth baby, and he was a newborn, and I had him at home, and she was passing away in a hospital that didn't allow children. Literally at the same time, I snuck my newborn baby in, and I was kicked out of the hospital, escorted out by two security guards, who walked me out of the hospital to ensure that I left with my baby and I did not come back. And so I didn't get to be by my mom's bedside in the last hours that she was alive. And that is so tragically horrible that I'm one of five siblings. I'm one of five kids. I have four siblings. We're very close. It's almost laughable. Like, we're like, wow, that baby's already a badass, right? Like, he's getting kicked out of hospitals. He wasn't even born in one, but he's getting kicked out of hospitals. And it set me down this path of kind of the rabbit hole of finding out about retirement and investments and life insurance, and how things could have been different if I had known what I know now, and how I can help families plan. And also, I made all the financial mistakes. So I get to hold really non-judgmental spaces for women who might be doing really well financially on the outside, but inside it's, they think of it as a mess. But I like to see it as a beautiful collection of their life that we get to be grateful for. And if that's not something they like to look at, let's look at it, and let's plan ahead. And again, nothing that you haven't done that I probably haven't done the same. So I am not judging you, but I am going to teach you from my mistakes, because you can't keep going and hiding your head and just keep hoping that you're just going to make more money, because guess what happens when you make more money? You typically just continue to have more money problems. So that doesn't matter.
It doesn't. And it's so great that you said all of that, because, like, after losing my mom, I felt the same way. but it's like what you said, like taking care of your finances and getting things in order. It actually it enlightened me too to like, do a lot of things differently when it comes to that and preparing myself for if ever that day will come, just making sure that family is okay and cool and don't have no worries. So I really love that you did that and you took it into a positive direction as well.
Yeah, I
So
think that's, I think about her every day. There are some moments that I regret. Prior to that moment, I feel like I did everything I could to be there for my mom, but there was one moment where it was the last day she was in the skilled nursing facility. I didn't know the next day she would be going into the hospital to pass away. And I didn't have my phone with me because I had a newborn baby, and she asked me for tomato soup. And I completely dropped the ball on that. And then she ended up passing away. And part of it, they said part of it was dehydration, but if they address that, then this would happen if they address that. And so it was just like, it was time to go. And so I have this biggest regret of I didn't get her tomato soup. She asked me for tomato soup, but rather than remembering the 50 other times that I went out of my way to get her tomato soup, I remember the one time that I dropped the ball on it. And so a friend had a really good advice, and she said, get some tomato soup, sit at a table, have tomato soup, and talk to your mom. And
yeah,
that was the best advice.
yes. Shout out to that friend.
Yeah.
Wow. So what was it like collaborating with 12 other mothers to share their powerful stories that were they in common themes or struggles that emerged from their experience?
It was great. We had a great group of positive minded women who were open and honest and excited. And being in an anthology is truly like a sisterhood. If you make the most of it, if you are in an anthology and you read each other's chapters and you connect with each other on social media and you attend, the networking opportunities to get to know one another, you really do create a special bond. Which is why I'm excited that I'm currently doing another anthology with a similar focus. And we do have 2 spots left in that, 2 more people snapped up spots. And I'm just super excited about it.
Wow. So the book emphasizes finding strength in challenges. Can you share a story from the book that particularly moved you or changed you in a perspective?
Sure. I remember one specific title from one of the authors, and her name is Erica Madama, and she's the owner of Sunny Spaces Organizing It, and she does organizing coaching as well from afar. And the chapter title is called Loving Mondays. And I thought that was so powerful, and it really resonated with me because as an entrepreneur, you're supposed to love Mondays. I was dreading them with my marketing agency full time. Now, don't get me wrong. I still had clients that I loved. I loved them. I would have bled for them if it would have helped them. And I did my very best for them, and I had fun doing what I do for them. But there was something that was off, and all I can attribute it to is God. And so just her having that title, Loving Mondays, I thought that is the perfect example of what entrepreneurship should be. Not dreading Mondays, loving Mondays.
Wow. I like that.
Yeah, I was like, that's good.
So why do you think it's important for women to share their personal journeys, especially when it comes to motherhood and business?
I think it brings us closer to one another. Just you and I, we connected about the fact that our mother has passed away. That's not nothing. And I shared a very vulnerable other story in a group on Facebook that had thousands of women, and somebody who lives down the street happened to see it. And we had encountered each other professionally in the past, but now we're best friends. I mean, I just unfortunately attended her father's funeral. She brought me wine when my mom passed away. She's my ride or die. And had I not shared this very deep post, really bearing something that's like embarrassing from my past, she resonated with that because she had a similar past. And so that those stories bring you closer together. Somebody will likely hire you when you share your story, just by you sharing your story, as opposed to the 20 posts that you share about your business, which you should share too, but that's where that connection is made. And then those posts about your business or those emails or presentations, that makes it clear of what you do and how they can be, if they're drawn to your energy, how you can help them.
Wow. So many women struggle with mom guilt while pursuing their dreams. What are your thoughts on that? And how can mothers refrain from the mindset to embrace both roles confidently?
I think I experience that all the time because I share on social media everything. You could go to my Instagram and see what I do. You could go to my Facebook and see. You could go to on LinkedIn and see. I share everything. And when I drop the ball on something related to my kids, that imposter syndrome comes in and goes, oh, those school officials, I bet they're thinking what a fraud I am on social media talking about this or that. But meanwhile, this is what we're dealing with, in terms of homework or somebody being in trouble or somebody, but that's really just the imposter syndrome. And even if I was a parenting expert and online saying I was a parenting expert, which I'm not, that's not what I do for a living. No parenting expert is perfect either. So no one is perfect. And that's a reminder too. But I think if you're not out there saying I'm perfect, I've got it all figured out, follow me for more success, then that there's incongruity there. But I think I try, especially on Instagram, because I'm a content creator on there. I try to just make light of it all and laugh at it all. And sometimes I will post a reel and then subsequently after one of my kids gets in trouble doing something that I'm like joking about on my reel. And I'm like, ooh, I'm going to pull that down because that's not a good look.
That's so funny. So what mindset shifts do you believe that are necessary for mothers to want to thrive in their business while being present for their families?
I think that you could totally build a business around your family. I love my kids. They're good people. They have good hearts. They are super helpers at home. They care for one another as siblings. They're able to communicate with me their needs or what they're thinking. And so, because, not because of that. I mean, I would love them unconditionally either way, whether I like them or not, right? But I like them. I don't just love them, I like them. And so I like to just create a business around them. And I have a mentor who's extremely successful at what he does. I mean, we're talking, millions a year, but he's very old school. And so he did share the advice that, well, people aren't going to trust you with their money if they've never met you in person. You really got to go to their kitchen table. And I was like, that's not going to work for me. And I think that there's definitely a way. If I center my business around these little people that I like and love, then everything else will fall into place. So it's not that your family has to work around your business, but your business can work around your family. And also do it the way you desire. If you want your business to take front stage, go for it. I'm not going to shame you or guilt you into it. It's whatever floats your boat.
Yes. So what is one of the lessons that you hope mothers take away from Powerful Synergy?
I think those boundaries. During my son's stay in the NICU, there was needing to hold discernment and boundaries on both ends of, you have to speak up for your kids, and when things are not okay, just go ahead and say that they're not okay and ask lovingly for what you want and keep asking and keep communicating lovingly from a respectful space. And also with clients, I did have a brand that didn't seem to understand the gravity of the situation, and they continuously contacted me, even though I kept redirecting them to my assistant. But if my assistant wasn't getting back to them quickly enough, they would then revert back to me and try to communicate with me. And I just kept holding those boundaries. And if they were, what's the worst fear that many entrepreneurs say is they're afraid somebody's going to complain, leave them a bad review, ask for a refund. have really good agreements in place so that that's not possible.
My God, that is so needed. And another thing is getting close to people is scary sometimes. It's because like you'll come from a genuine space and you end up building a relationship with them. Guys get cool, and then if the relationship turn for the worse, it's like, man, I really, really loved or liked that person, but why did it have to be
Yeah.
sour? You know?
Yeah. And I've had that happen too with circumstances way beyond out of my control. And you just have to, what's the book by Mel Robbins this year? Let them. Just let
Oh
them.
God, yes.
Yes. There's-
Mel did an amazing job with that.
yeah. And, but also all the time, look within. How could you have done better? What part are you playing in this? Is your ego leading the way, or is your heart leading the way? Because we all partake a little bit in the dramas in life, right? So what can we do better next time?
Yes. So for mothers who are dreaming and starting a business, but they are afraid to, bring on the workload, what's the first steps they should take?
They could probably join a company like mine, honestly, who comes with built in with the team and the CRM system and all of the support that you would need to build a business with minimal investments and minimal commitment. And it's definitely a business that can work around your life. But if that's not a possibility for them, because if you're not into, finances, or you don't think like you'd ever want to do that, then just remember that you can start small. You can start, and then once you feel ready for an assistant, you'll know. You don't have to then at that point hire someone full time. Just start small. Every little step counts. It doesn't have to be that when you decide to start a business, you have it all figured out. You'll figure it out along the way, and the right teachers will appear.
Yes. So what legacy do you hope to leave behind your children when it comes to entrepreneurship, resilience, and purpose?
Ooh, that's a good question. I hope that they get to experience internal peace no matter what. That's what I hope, that they can learn that if they choose to create something and build it and go for it and provide for their family with it, hopefully they could see that my husband and I have done that. And hopefully that they're encouraged to do that with whatever they choose to do in life.
Wow. So where can our listeners get a copy of Powerful Synergy?
Powerful Synergy is available on Amazon, and I would also love for you guys to stay tuned for the next book, the next anthology. If you've got a story to share and you'd love to be in an anthology and become a best-selling author, because typically they tend to hit bestseller, find me on Instagram, Marta Sauret Greca. I mean, I'm sure my name will be somewhere in the show notes, right? You could just look up my name, and look up also, you could find me on Facebook as well, and you'll get the latest news of when we're releasing the next book as well.
Yes. So any final words for encouragement for mothers who are feeling stuck in their business or even their personal life?
I think if you're feeling stuck or your personal life and you find that your mind's always going there and you can't seem to get yourself out of it, then those 10 minutes of devotional or inspirational reading every day will significantly change the way that your mind is working, because that what you focus on expands. So if you're constantly focusing on, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do next, just start. And you maybe aren't in a place where you can, where you have it within you to hire a coach for whatever the circumstances might be, then pick up a book. And so Powerful Synergy is a perfect example. I've got also my first book, The Minimalist Method for the Emerging Entrepreneur's Guide to Peace and Prosperity. One of my favorites that I'm reading right now is A Happy Pocket Full of Money. Just surround yourself with high vibe reading that's hopeful, and it's reminding you of the divine truth, because sometimes we tend to forget that when we have all these circumstances surrounding us.
Yes, that is so true. And it kind of be hard, but at the same time, we get through it.
Yeah, you always get through it, and you might not be the way that you want it to look like. I mean, look at our worst case scenarios. Our moms died. That's
Yeah.
like almost almost literally the worst thing that could happen to you. But while that sucks and we didn't want that to happen, we are okay. Our moms are okay. They're in heaven. If that's what you believe, if that's what your spiritual language is. And not in the human sense, but ultimately that we know this is life. We're here, we do, and then eventually we do pass away. So, and we're okay. We're still standing.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Marta. I loved this conversation with you. I love what you're doing to uplift women and mothers, and it's so important. You are so needed. So please keep going.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad we did this.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for tuning in to Life Her Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and also listen to Life Her Podcast on all major audio platforms.
Welcome to Life Her Podcast, the podcast that guides you from the 9-to-5 grind to the freedom of your own path. Discover how to conquer life's challenges while pursuing your passions with unwavering faith. Because being an entrepreneur is not easy. So let's get to it.